What's up, everybody, and welcome live to the LV Home Experts Radio Show, where we talk about the Las Vegas market, real estate, and financing. If this is your first time tuning into the show, my name is Chakits Krulsawat with Simply Vegas, licensed real estate agent out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So today we have a very special guest, Enzo. He is a broker out here in Las Vegas. We wanted to bring him in and talk about the future of the Las Vegas real estate housing market. All you guys see out there is the market is about to crash, recession, sell. So this is the only channel that provides you up-to-date information out here in Las Vegas. That's right. Guys, how's everything going?
Good. It's amazing.
Amazing?
Amazing.
Well, you guys already know Dan.
Absolutely amazing.
You guys already know Dan. I don't have to introduce Dan. Well, I'll do it anyway. Dan French with Guarantee Rate. Real estate agent. Well, technically he is.
Out here in Las Vegas.
Yes. Sometimes part-times, no times. But he is a lender with Guarantee Rate. And we got my man, the myth, the legend, Enzo with Prestigious Real Estate, right?
Precision Realty.
Precision. I don't know why I keep doing that. Even when I do your own video home tours, I always say that and I always make a mistake.
I think last time you called me Enzo Valles. Well, the good thing is you give me a different cool last name.
Yeah.
All the time.
Valdez. Or no.
Yeah.
What is your last name?
It's Varela.
Varela.
Yeah.
Enzo Varela with Prestigious?
Precision.
Hey,
let's go.
Prominent real estate.
We just gave it a new name.
Yeah.
Progressive real estate.
However, this is one of the biggest real estate companies out here, and you pretty much guys specialize in like flip properties and all that, right?
Correct. We're really a flip-based brokerage.
Yeah,
that's correct. That's really an investment brokerage.
So what does that mean for all the new listeners?
Well, basically that means we buy, we rehab, and we sell. The bottom line is that the Alpha Investment Group does have ownership of Precision Realty.
Okay.
And we're employed under Precision Realty for the sole purpose of representing Alpha Investments in their purchases and their selling. We don't have a direct hand in the remodel. That's done
through a different department entity.
That's done through the Alpha Investment.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how that's handled.
So I want the audience to know how big this investment group is, because this is pretty astonishing with the numbers that you provided earlier. How many flips has this company done?
It's done well over 1,000.
Oh my gosh.
Well over 1,000, yes.
So that tells me you guys pretty much have a pulse on what's going on in today's housing market.
That's correct. Reason being is because obviously there's an acquisition aspect of it. There's an aspect, again, that I'm not directly involved in, but I am aware of, materials and cost and remodel timeframes, and obviously the people that do the labor involved. And I'm directly involved with the selling aspect of it, the listing aspect of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And how many transactions have you guys done this year so far?
This year, let me see. I can tell you.
Just say a lot.
A lot. Let's see. Let's see.
Let's see the numbers, because I think this is important. So that way the listeners, right, they know who Enzo is and who they are actually dealing with, because you guys do push some weight around here. So
I'll give you from July 2021, which is the numbers that I have. So the last 12 months, it's been 297 properties.
That's more than I closed.
112 million, roughly.
112 million? Oh, that's not that bad. Yeah. I think my team did 120 something transactions. Well, not 120. I think it was. I got to check the numbers now.
Well, the thing is, we
got different numbers.
Yeah, you do larger volume, more expensive homes.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it is different. We specialized on the east side of town, which is...
What does that mean?
Well, it's just a little bit different neighborhoods, and
the income level is lower, obviously.
Little different price points, and age of the homes, and
so is that more of your guys' philosophy and demographics is more on the lower side income level?
It really truly was established like that and evolved like that for quite a long time. As the market changed, then it was spread out more evenly.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you right now, I was just looking at it yesterday. I believe we're at the moment carrying somewhere around 33 listings, and we have something from 200,000 at every 100,000 point mark. So 300, 400, 500,000 up to roughly $1 million right now. Of course, we don't have 1 million, 1 million, 2, but we have up to $1 million, and we're carrying a couple listings that are $1 million plus right now.
Yeah, because I've done multiple video home tours of you guys, right? And the ones that I do are around the 600,000 and above. So that's all I know. I've never done on the lower side because obviously my target audience is about 600,000 and above. But as far as your guys' portfolio, you mentioned on the lower income side, right? Because housing is really based upon like household income, right? What percentage of these homes are like on the east side of town?
I would say probably roughly at this point 60%. Roughly. It's going to vary depending. Sometimes we may just coincide. The acquisition is really opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the opportunity is going to be coincidentally on within a few certain zip codes, and that's where the purchases take place.
Yeah.
Sometimes the market gets. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. So sometimes the market gets a little silent, and they need to keep the money working, right? So the acquisition focuses on other opportunities.
I guess that would make sense, especially with a large portfolio like that.
Yeah, I mean, they need to stay busy.
It's almost like once you get the wheel going and you build this like machine, it's almost like it's an oiled well machine, but you got to keep it going some way somehow. Do you know what I mean? If not, things will like start to progress and start to slow down. But what was your question, Dan?
Well, I was just going to say that Henderson. And also, you said East Side. They typically have the older homes.
Yeah.
So they're going to need more rehab, a little bit more distressed. So you're going to have more meat on the bone, I think, to flip a home like that than, say, like Southwest, SUMMERLIN. Because those homes, they're built pretty new. They don't have a lot of distress. And then you also have, like you said, the lower income demographic that live over on the East Side. So it's an easier transition or an easier position to be in to probably get those houses, right?
Or probably a better deal as well, right?
That's what I'm saying.
You would think, but there's a lot of successful flippers that, and you know a lot of them. I've seen several of them on your show. I think those are valid points, but the bottom line is, honestly, when a home gets, I've even recently, I spent the weekend looking through a lot of listings, even as recent as 2015, 2017, depending on what improvements that home was built in, they get outdated.
Well, it's the volume, though. It's like you got the Boco brothers, whatever, those guys that came on. They look at a house that's maybe a specific home that they're like, okay, this is $1 million home, or it's just that specific home. When you're doing volume, you have to really kind of research that area, research what's around it, and then that's kind of what your model is the volume flipping, right?
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, that's right. We do volume. Yeah, we do volume, and but there are homes that you're going to get from 2005, 2008. They're just dated.
Do you like? Let's say you look at a house and it's not on those locations, right? Old Henderson, you got a lot of older homes there.
Yeah.
East Side. Let's say you go and let's say it's just more of just just Las Vegas, right? Let's say we're going Flamingo and like Rainbow-ish, right?
Okay.
Is there any homes over there that you guys look at? Because they have some homes.
All the time.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm sure as an investor, you look at any leads that come in, right? Absolutely. And if the acquisition makes sense.
That's kind of my point is, like I was saying, it's not just, like there's other things to look at. Like when you're doing volume, you can't just, you know what I mean? It's not just primarily
But I think they focus on a a certain income level because the homes move a lot faster versus taking a flip that's in a country club and you're spending $1 million, putting 200 into it, making 1.6 off the deal. You don't have that much of a demographics looking for that type of property because the income level is, not as much, because the average household income here is about almost 60,000, and you're gonna pretty much target, homes that are around the 500 range and below, and you're gonna have more of a demographics at that price point, right? You're gonna have more buyers, right?
Look, I think that's a very valid point, but I think you would probably be a good person to reference this. In the last few years, that the higher income has gotten
that's true.
Very, very high traffic here in Vegas, and it's not as that same balance is, I don't think, as true now, and really within the last 24 to 36 months, it hasn't been like that.
And that's what I was going to get to, because a couple months ago, $1 million here, we just getting them in an escrow like it was nothing, it was hotcakes. But the issue now is that, at the 500 range, it's such a hot commodity because of the income level. You have really more pools.
Does it really mean the income level? Does that really make a difference? I think it
does.
Well, I think it's like this. Income.
Well, if you let me just correct you for a second. I don't want to correct you, but let me just give my opinion before I forget.
Go ahead.
So let's say you have 1,000 people that live in Las Vegas. If you take a look at the average household income, let's just say at 60,000, what percentage of that, of 1,000 people that make 60,000? Probably about 65%. So that's a pretty big target of demographics. Then you probably have an income level that makes, 200,000, and that could be about 15%. Then somebody that's making 500,000, that could be 10%. Then $1 million could be 5%.
But how does income level correlate with actually getting a home that you want to flip? Because it's the location and also the distress or the property itself.
Well, we're not talking about the flip. We're talking about his company. Basically, they have a pretty big, large portfolio on the east side of town.
Right.
Because on the east side of town, you'll notice that homes are roughly probably about 500,000, right? Mm-hmm. And they probably have that portfolio because they have more turnaround for buyers that are buying. They can move those homes a lot quicker as far as less days on the market.
The next person to buy the house when they have it ready. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because you're going to have more buyers wanting to buy that, right? And also you have buyers that don't want to spend too much money, especially when you're making 60,000 and less. You're really not buying the home, right? When you're doing financing, the thing that you're really buying is your monthly payment. That's what you're really buying.
So, but I mean, you go over to the east side, right? Or let's just say let's kind of get away from that whole thing. Let's just say you find a property that is a great position where you can make a return, right? A good return. Take me through the process of how that works.
It's quite simple. The operation is really divided up very evenly to be the really most efficient machine. They have an acquisition team, and just like what I do is pretty much sell our listings all day long. Really, you can say 7 days a week, because in our business, you have to be attentive to all major happenings, right? That are not going to allow for any profits to slide down. We're talking about a profit-making operation, right? So it's the same thing, except on the acquisition end. A deal comes, it's evaluated. Does it make sense? Yes, it does. And then it gets the stamp of approval, and it's purchased cash.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. The other side of the coin is that because we've been established for a very long time, we're the name Precision Realty or even Enzo are known, and so it is common for. Hey
man, turn off your phone, bro.
Is that me or you? that was you. Okay.
Every week.
No, So
I love it.
So basically, we do get the heads up or the opportunity many times.
Yeah.
And our level of seriousness and our reputation also comes into play, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we may not be the highest bidder, but if it gets signed, it's going to be pushed through. It's going to be purchased.
Do you guys purchase this from families or like other investors?
All across the board.
All across the board.
all across the board. You know, like he was saying, to maintain an operation the size that we have, you have to eat from all plates. You know, you got to keep the monster fed.
Yeah,
and you have to
makes sense.
Keep the operation moving.
Now, with your guys' operation, right? Are you guys seeing a shift in the market, especially after the feds had raised the rates?
Look, I think that's a good question. I got to tell you personally, I've been watching it. Again, this is my personal opinion. For about 9 to 10 weeks, and I started feeling that there was going to be a shift, and sure enough, right? We're now close to 6,900 homes right now.
Yeah.
Right? Up from 2,500 roughly about 10 weeks ago, I would think.
Yeah.
So it's obvious it's happening. And what we have to do is just adjust. We are now working with a couple lenders with for example, 2-in-1 buy downs. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, explain that.
It's quite interesting. So let's assume that your rate currently is 6%.
Yeah.
You do a buy down for 2-in-1, so which means that the first year it's going to be 4%, the second year 5%, and we as the seller, representing the seller, are willing to because the loan is structured so somebody has to subsidize the difference, right?
Yeah.
So it's roughly 2.25 points in order to put that structure into place. And the great thing about it is that it works with all FICO scores.
Yeah.
So it gives you a 4% mortgage interest rate payment for the first year, 5% mortgage interest rate payment for the second year, and then on your third year, you're going to default to, call it 6%.
Okay.
So
it's for payment shock probably, right? Like if people are like, hey, man, I just don't want to do it. It kind of gets them back in the game when they weren't in the game.
Look, it does, especially when you correlate it and price it out against rents. Because the bottom line is that we all know it, right? In this room, rents are not going down.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon.
Yeah. You got to live somewhere.
Right. And like I said, I spent some time. And look, the cat's out of the hat, right? Inventory is up. Rates are up. The Fed just said a few days ago they're going to continue to raise them because the market's already priced it in.
Yeah.
So it's what's going to happen. So like I said, I spent some time researching what's happening. And really, when you price it against rents, you're saying, hey, it is going to be a higher payment, but when you price in the quality of a property that you're going to move into that's rent ready, opposed to a payment of a property that's going to be newly remodeled. Now it's newly remodeled, not lived in. You say, hey, it's making sense.
What does that mean, newly remodeled, for the audience?
Well, you know,
because that term gets swinged around a lot. Newly remodeled. How's about just remodeled?
Well, newly remodeled reason because it's never been lived in. So new carpet,
that makes
fresh
sense.
paint, fresh paint, cabinets, countertops that aren't scratched, carpets that aren't worn, paint that's again not scratched.
Yeah.
You know, let's be frank, right? You can't touch every single. Look, the homes are not torn down and rebuilt. That's not what happens. We try and represent a client that does the most efficient, thorough job with being obviously staying in business.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, especially now with the availability of labor and with material still on the increase, pound for pound, people who are purchasing these homes are not making a bad decision, because to go out and try and find people that are going to work for you right now.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult. Extremely.
Yeah.
And plus when you add it all in with the material, it's not as if you do it yourself, you're going to save much more.
Yeah.
How do you keep these relationships, like these contractors and people? Because I mean, they're probably looking at it going, okay, we have all this going on, and cost of living's going higher. We all know that. Everybody's looking to jump ship to find another job that's going to pay them more. So are these contractors and people like that really hard to stay on?
That is an aspect that's managed by the Alpha Investments.
Yeah.
Right.
And they do have a part of their operation that's all they do. You have to. It's people managing. It's
challenging.
Extremely.
Right. I would think.
It's funny that you said that because yesterday I was doing a frame walk with a client, and I was speaking to the superintendent because frame walk is done. We just ordered certifications for the installation. And I asked when the drywall guys are going to come out, because typically drywall should be scheduled within like a week, right? They don't even have the drywall guys out. And I said, why not? He said that, that Fountain Blue off the strip?
Yeah.
Because they just started back up on Fountain Blue. They are literally going to new home sites with these drywall guys and giving them incentives, checks up front, like $5,000. Yeah, I couldn't believe that either. Well, that's what I was told.
Wow.
I don't know how true that is, but once I heard that, I was like, wow, that's interesting. Dude, maybe I should get into a drywall.
Dude, they would just leave right off site.
Yeah. Hey, take me with you.
Yeah.
I'll sign up.
So that's what I was told. I don't know if that's true or not, but I found that to be very fascinating. But the other thing is I don't want to segue too much into the flip side, because I want to talk about really what's going on in the housing market. But like I said, because you guys do a lot of flip properties and you guys really have your pulse on the economy at the macro level here. About 6 months ago, what was the average days on the market for your home?
Below 14.
Below 14?
Below 14.
Now, do you see that increasing now?
Honestly, yes.
Okay.
Across the board, it is going to increase. Look, as an operation, one of the bullet points that we are currently working on is understanding how to work with longer days on the market.
Yeah.
That's just what's going to happen. I think across the board, right? Nationwide. Rates have impacted everything, and it doesn't mean that it's going to come to a screeching halt. It can't. I would hope, right? Look, I'm one of these guys. I always leave a margin of error. There's a 20% margin of error in everything I say. I'm not one of these guys that thinks that I know it all, or because I've been in this business for a while, it's foolproof. It's not. But I can't wake up in the morning and assume that I'm going to be working in a business that's going to come to a complete halt. I just have to understand current market conditions, but not to deviate too much.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. We are expecting longer days on the market. We are expecting to use more incentives, just like the ones I've mentioned. Price drops. And anything that's on the table that's fair, legal, and will move our listings forward.
Now, you just mentioned price drops.
Right.
On the MLS, we're doing probably about 10% on the price reduction. Now we're sitting here at 7,000 homes, which is ridiculous. I think, we're coming into the holidays, third, fourth quarter. I think we're probably going to be sitting around 10,000 homes, okay? That being said, price reductions with your company, are you guys doing any type of price reductions right now, or are you guys pretty much steadfast and holding off?
I think that's a great question. And as you just mentioned, we do. Look, we have a highly, and I'm not saying this because I'm part of the team. I'm probably the less intelligent guy out of all of them.
Yeah.
Right. But and everybody on there is very professional, very hardworking, and super intelligent. So it helps us keep our finger on the pulse. And you have to do price drops now. Yeah. That's just what's up.
So are you guys going in aggressively? Because this is the challenge I have. I've been taking a bunch of listings. And I've noticed now, including myself, I'm chasing the market. What I mean by this, I literally had a home for $285, and this is one of my personal investment deals. I've got offers, but on the deal, however, it's not always about the price. It's about the terms. There's certain terms that I want because I actually have tenants in place, so I haven't accepted an offer. But I think we received probably about 9 offers so far. But now I've noticed that I'm doing a price reduction because I'm not getting what I want. And even my clients that are selling the homes, we've also been doing price reductions like almost every week. And it's like we're chasing the market. So are you guys competitively marketing the property at a certain price point aggressively right off the get-go? Or you guys playing that game, hey, we're going to try to get as much as we can, but with our acquisition team, after 15 days, we'll go ahead and reevaluate the portfolio, make the adjustments?
Look, again, I think that's a super excellent question, and it's a little bit more involved than it may seem.
Yeah.
Because even though there is a company umbrella, so to speak, that manages the acquisition and the remodel aspect, and then there's the realty company that represents the acquisition and the sales. It's a portfolio with many investors involved.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy as a push of a button. There's people's time frame and understanding of where the market's heading and how they want to work their money is different.
Yeah.
And so it can't be the same across the board. Even if I just told you, I've been watching it for 10 straight weeks, and it's been this time frame that I knew kind of this was going to come into play, right?
Yeah.
But that necessarily can't reflect on the listings for many reasons. Sometimes because the location doesn't merit it. Sometimes because the investors need a little bit more time. It's just a combination of stuff. So you're absolutely right. The bar is moving, but I think it's moving at a different pace for different people and including buyers. Because on the flip side, there's still a lot of buyers that have a need. And again, their need that they're looking at is against rental expense. So with an operation, and I by no means am I the shot caller with those kind of things.
I mean, you look like it.
Thanks. But that's not the case at all. Believe me. Full disclosure on that. But I think the market is moving, and there is a bar.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to adjust. And I do comment and speak my mind sometimes and tell them, hey, I think that look, if you ask me, I am looking at you mentioned timeframes. I am looking at a September 15th in my head. I popped that in my head because I'm seeing, hey, what's the reality of how many days do we have to market and sell these homes from this point to the September the 15th.
Yeah.
You ask why? Because at that date, we're past obviously 4th of July, which we're just a few days away.
Yeah.
We're past school, the people going back to school, the kids going back to school, which anybody that has kids knows that it's
and I think they start school the 8th. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And then you clearly have Labor Day there.
Ooh.
So if you take today's date and position it against the 15th and then see how many active working real estate days we have, it does kind of put a specific calendar in your mind saying, hey, this is the calendar I'm working with when I'm carrying, $20 million worth of listings or whatever it is. It's 30 at this point. It's 33 active listings.
Yeah, I noticed that the last time we did our podcast, the median price point was at $495,000. We're sitting here at $475,000, which is a 4% decrease, and that's the median price point for a home. However, the days on the market is 9 days, which means the market is moving still quickly, right? However, what I'm seeing in the marketplace, buyers are actually having options as far as they're able to pick and choose the home. So they have a right to go shopping at this point.
Yeah.
60 days ago, 90 days ago, it wasn't, hey, we're shopping for a home. It's, I'm buying this one because it's available and I'm paying above the appraised value. But things are starting to turn now, right? And, I think the Feds are going to raise rates again another, 75 basis points. I think that's going to slow down the market.
That's already priced in, I believe. You would probably be the better guy to answer that question, right?
As far as
go ahead. Go ahead.
Because, okay, so run us through a average buyer, right? 680, 700 FICO score. What's the 30-year fix right now? What's the rate that?
Probably high fives, mid to high fives.
Call it 5.85. And I may be very wrong, but according to what I understand, the Fed's already priced this in, even the 75 basis points that they're going to mark up in July.
Yeah.
So, and even if they continue to do their 50% basis points, which I believe they're trying to do maybe one or two more after that.
Yeah.
We're probably still going to be landing in that, call it high six range, right? Towards the end of the year.
Yeah, but also you have to take into consideration, even though, let's just say if it was priced in, as a consumer, how it works is, when a consumer doesn't have confidence in something, that's when somebody pulls back. And in addition to that, it could, go up, 6.25%, whatever it is. But if your payment went up another $50 or $100, that's taken away from discretionary income. And you've talked about this, Dan. You've lost deals based upon $50, $75, and $100. And that, what does that tell you is that, consumers are buying homes based upon what their monthly payments are. That's like the first thing. So you have to take this into consideration. But then when you start having this fear mongering, right? All this propaganda, and that's what's selling right now. Correct. Recession. But then the question is I have for you is that, first of all, what is a recession and what is a recession to you? Okay. A depression. The market is going to crash. Okay. So what does that mean? 10%, 15%, 20%, right? Also on the flip side is that even though that this is negative and something like that does happen, there's always a positive too as well. So my question to you is, where do you see this market heading to after the next hike? Your opinion. It's just an opinion, right? You don't have a crystal ball, because if you did, you wouldn't be sitting here.
Well, we're definitely going to have more homes on the market.
Yeah.
I think, look, like I said, the cat's out of the hat, right? I go through these listings online, and there's a lot of sellers that just plainly have hyperinflated pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to add to our inventory. And at the end of the day, these sellers need to come to terms whether they really want to sell or whether they're just going to, take the property off the market.
Yeah.
We're definitely in a transition phase, which means that the dust hasn't settled. And in response to your question is, we're just going to have a slower moving market with higher DOMs on the market for real sellers, and definitely price discounts. And I would gauge easily between 10 to 20%.
I have a comment here. It says that by the end of the year, the mortgage rates will be over 8%. Is that true, Dan? You think that's going to happen? I don't know if we could hit 8%. I mean, that's a pretty high number.
So we talk about the Fed's fund rate.
Yeah.
Talk about days on the market and all these things. It's really going to come down to inflation.
Yeah.
Right? If inflation keeps going up, then they're going to keep slowing the economy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to affect long-term bonds. Now, why would that go higher? Inflation's one reason. But if you have, because like right now we still have, you talk about recession, you talk about all this stuff. A recession, you said it before on the show, is 2 quarters of negative GDP. Yeah. We lost, I think we were down 1.6 on GDP as far as what the numbers were going to be. So we're seeing the slowness. So for me, I look at it and I say, well, could we be there? Sure. I can't see that if things don't get better, then yes, we're going to keep going up.
Yeah.
And here's where you're at demographically. You're going to you have an influx of these millennials and younger, buyers in the market, primary residence buyers. Those buyers are the ones that are struggling, like you said, the $100, $50, that's just too much. The buyers that you're seeing that's going to come into this market and buy homes is not the primary so much of the millennial.
It's going to be the investors, the guys that got big money.
It's going to be the people that maybe were on the sidelines because they just felt like, it's just not a healthy market to buy into, right? Mm-hmm. It might be somebody that has the 15 to 20% to put down. They actually have the other assets, but they just didn't buy just because they felt like it wasn't a good time to buy. They're back in the market. The ones that are like really going all in and trying to go above and battling each other is the ones that usually need a primary residence or they're competing against each other. But they're starting to find out that this payment with these rates is too high. So now they're retracting. So the buyers I see that's going to be in this market, they're still going to be primary buyers, or they might be secondary or investment buyers, but they're buyers that really now feel that it's a good time to buy that do have the assets. Those are the ones that you're actually going to see buy these houses, I think. What do you guys think?
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have a team. They're primarily buyer's agents, right?
Yeah.
And how is your movement?
Well, my movement right now, I lost about 25% of my escrows. I mean, we were sitting over like 48 escrows, but now I think we're down to like 30, 38.
Now,
so
that's within 30 days or?
that was probably like in the last 60 days, especially everything started hitting the fan once the Fed started announcing that they were going to raise rates. And a lot of my buyers are pretty much all new home sales. So, with new home sales, it takes about 8 months to complete. And you're not locked into a rate, right? And a lot of buyers at that time never locked into a rate because it actually costs them points, which costs you money to lock in a rate. So, by the time it came around where the home was complete, they had to go back and, get the loan and lock in the rate. They realized it was just too high, or their debt to income ratio was too high. They're no longer qualified. Or one of the challenges that I was having is that they didn't want to make an additional $300-$400 more of a payment, when they already had their mindset, hey, I'm only paying, $2,400. Now I got to pay $2,800. This doesn't make any sense, especially with, cost of gas, food, and everything else going up. Because you got to figure, I mean, if you're only making like, $5,000 a month and you're paying $34,000, I mean, that's more than like half of your income.
Yeah, but psychologically, people just don't want to buy because, look, I get it, it's high.
Yeah.
But if you want to get into something, you'll figure out a way to get into something. You'll figure it out. I'm not saying you're just going to go and pay whatever's out there, but if you need a house, you need shelter, and the costs are going up, you're going to figure out a way. The reality is, I think a lot of people, like you said, the confidence and the psychological effect this has had on people is, hey man, all of these things happening at one time, I gotta reevaluate. Maybe this isn't the best deal.
Exactly.
This isn't the best situation.
I gotta say, I was watching your podcast. You had the sales rep from Lennar.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Roughly, he was here like 7 weeks ago.
Something like that.
And it, that was a bullet point I took. And just so you guys know, I
appreciate that.
as much volume as we do, and as great as my team is, I do watch him.
Thank you.
He's great info, and even walking through the homes, I'm always, it's good to see.
Thank you.
But that was a bullet point that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because he did say he lost, I believe, 25.
Yeah.
Escrows, and the emphasis on the fact that they were buyers that lost $10K of earnest money.
Yeah.
And that was a first quarter.
Yeah.
And so that was a bullet point that I took home, made a mental note of it.
Yeah.
And so, it's to say that we
it went up too fast. The problem is like if you gradually seen rates go up, I mean, you got to look at back in, October of last year, we were at like 3.5%.
Yeah, but they
and you got to think the first quarter we were already at like 5.5.
Yeah,
that's 2 points difference. Now, what does that do for a $500,000 payment? That's like $300.
Yeah, I think the reason why, because you got to slow down the inflation. The only way to slow down inflation, I mean, they say you're at like 8.35, whatever it is on the inflation, but just to compensate that, you would have to raise rates to the point where it's like above 8.35% to slow down the inflation rate, or it's even higher. You see what I'm saying? Because you got to slow down the economy, because if not, it's running rampant, and that's what's happening now. So I think a lot of people are also, especially the guys that do have money, right? They're also sitting on the sidelines because they probably, have a couple investment properties. They're cash flowing. They probably have other assets too as well. They're liquid. Their powder is dry. So they probably got a couple million sitting on the side. And I'm sure that's probably about 20% of the population is kind of sitting on the side to see what's going on. And the real money is also sitting on the side too as well. Because regardless, they're still making money from the rental properties. And if it tanks, they're also going to make some money. So I think that's what's happening.
I think I think that's a very valid point. I think there's a good portion of potential investors, buyers that are in a sweet spot. They're saying, "Hey, I'm cash flowing. If prices drop, it's okay," because as we spoke about, rents are staying expensive.
Yeah.
And again, not to beat a dead horse, but what you're getting bang for your buck. I had to take an Uber earlier, and I ran into somebody from Hawaii, the Uber driver.
Yeah.
She told me she was paying.
Wait. You took an Uber here?
No.
Okay.
I had to.
Okay.
I had a change of.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. No, I took an Uber here.
Okay.
I was actually at home having a beer, and I said, "Oh, it's about 3:30."
I was gonna say, okay, you're a broker. You're not broker than me, are you? Where's your car at?
Yeah, right, man. You know how much it costs to ride an Uber now?
I know.
I think I
It's
paid
$100
about
Uber.
$12.
No,
I paid $12.
Now, what were you saying?
So the Uber driver, she told me she was fed up with Vegas. She's been here less than a year.
Yeah.
She says she's paying more rent here than on her studio beach studio rental in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Where she was paying $1,000. She says, living expenses in Vegas just really surprised her. And so I think as a whole, and it's unfortunate, right? People's grocery bills and their gas bill is it's just higher right now. It's really high, and it's makes you kind of uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
You naturally take a step back, whether you're making $70K or six figures and above.
It's almost like you're forced to step back and reposition and kind of really look at your portfolio or your financial situation and say, hey, do I really want to get into a home here, especially the way that the rates are, and maybe I should just sit back for just a second, because if the market does tank, I'll be in a better position. I can get more homes. But then on the flip side is that rates are going to be high. So that kind of washes itself out. So you're probably going to get less home for a higher payment, right? I mean, the problem is that I don't know which way this pendulum is going to stop. All I can do is I could feel it and I could see what's going on.
Well,
But we're just sitting here and just idly and just waiting like,
Yeah, but I think
come on, hurry up. If this thing's going to crash, you know what? Let it crash, because I'm about to make a lot of money. I'm not saying I want it to crash, but hey, if it does, I'm going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of people scooping up.
Yes.
Now, when you say that, I have a question. You would strictly focus your attention here in Vegas, or do you have your eyes elsewhere in other cities?
You know what? For multifamily, I've been looking at other cities. They haven't been making any sense for me, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable. So I want to play in my backyard. So I think my main focus is going to be here. Here's the reason why, is because Las Vegas is such a trendy city. Our primary sector is casino and hospitality. When shit hits the fan, people don't come out here and spend money, right? So if you take a look throughout the United States, with our primary sector, this is going to be one of the hardest hitting areas. That being said, that gives me the opportunity to come back in and scoop up homes at a lower price point, right? And this is when homes were like $70,000, $80,000. I'm not saying it's ever going to go back to those days, but by me repositioning, it allows me to get back into the multifamily sector, 40 units and above. Now I can actually reposition, right, to do the add value. So that's kind of like my play. That doesn't mean it actually works for you guys out there. So just keep that in mind. But that's my position with things. However, if there was a deal out, in California or a different state where we can, syndicate that deal, yeah, I would love to be a part of that. Matter of fact, if you guys have a real estate team and need help syndicating a deal, call me. I'm your guy. Let's partner up.
Yeah, it's always good to know, what other opportunities are nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have a license in Phoenix.
Okay.
And there are rehabs that we do also in Phoenix.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm actually heading out to Phoenix, I think the following week, where we are going to be meeting up with Austin Zachback. And this kid, he's like real estate agent. Well, he owns a real estate brokerage, and also they're doing wholesaling, and they flip properties too as well. This guy's crushing it out there. So can't wait to get on out there to take that out. Yeah. We'll see how that works out.
Especially now, because by the time you get out there, the market's going to be different also.
Exactly. And that's what we want to talk about. But they're actually based out of Scottsdale, which is, I think, 20 minutes from Phoenix or something like that?
Yeah, it's on the, if I'm not mistaken, east side.
Mm-hmm. So how's that market, for you guys? out there right now? I'm sure you got the inside pulse on that.
Well, actually, I don't. I got to tell you, it's recent.
Yeah.
I am the broker of record over there, but it's I'm not working on it on a daily basis.
Got it.
The main focus right now is all the homes we have here in Vegas. Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask you, do you see a correction of a 10%, 20%, 30%? What are your thoughts?
Look, I currently see actively roughly 10%.
10%?
That's where I believe it's currently. Because, look, you were talking about chasing the bar.
Yeah.
I believe that's where the bar is at right now. And it really just depends on the absorption rate, right? Because as we spoke about, people are still purchasing. I still see it. I'm on the phone daily. People are still actively buying.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a need still there. And it may be that, look, the other main factor here is that there's a lot of people that are positioned very nicely with homes that they bought even from 2008, from 2012, where they are maybe free of a mortgage or maybe with a very low interest rate in the 2s, low 3s, and they don't need to move. And they're not going to sell, for any reason. So that's inventory that's not going to be coming online because they're well positioned.
Oh, check this out. Joseph Becker, we got $20 super chat. It says, Joey and Dan helped me buy a primary residence in Inspirada in 2021. I'm sitting on the sidelines for an investment property. Wow, affordability doesn't make any sense for non-owners or rents at this time. Of course, this is based upon a risk tolerance. So I just want to say thank you for the $20 on the super chat. Now, Dan, question for you. Do we see a 10%, 20%, 30%? What is your thoughts?
I think it's about supply and demand.
Okay.
That's all it is. If the supply is still low, then we won't see anything. If the demand is still there and we still see low supply of houses, we probably won't see a correction.
Let me get your prediction. 10%, 20%, or 30%?
None.
None. Whoa, he says none.
I think we're just going to level off.
Enzo, let me ask you this. Now, for the buyers that are actually sitting on the sidelines, first-time home buyers, not too sure if I should buy or not, or if I should just hold on to my money because I think a market's going to crash, what would you tell that buyer today?
Look, again, it's I'm defaulting to what the actual need is, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's living circumstances are different and they change continuously.
Yeah.
I can tell you my living situation is different from even as little as 3 years ago.
Yes.
And me personally, for example, I want my mom a lot closer if I could, and to me that doesn't have a price, right? So if I'm able to, and I'm saying, hey, look, I kind of got to bite the bullet because now you're talking about a philosophy of life, right? How much is it worth to spend more time with my mom now when people get old? Hey, they sometimes they just go, right? So it's one of those things where I default, even if you're a first-time home buyer, people's living situations and their want or need to be more comfortable is immediate. I would say jump in. Don't be shy.
There you go. Now I got one more question. So if for all the sellers out there that are having a hard time selling their property, they want to sell, they have their home on the market, what are the few tips that you can provide to the seller in order for them to actually sell their home in today's tough market?
Look, it's to me, it's very basic, right?
Yeah.
It's all the basics, and the basics are there are a lot of them, but I would say, hey, make sure your home is tight. Mm-hmm. Make sure it looks good. Yeah. It smells good. Make sure you get quality pictures. Make sure that you work with professional people who will position you with the not just the pricing, because everybody knows that it doesn't matter whether you get the highest price if the terms don't have any teeth into it and have accountability. Then the deal may not go anywhere. And all it's going to end up doing is spinning your wheels and wasting your time.
And so I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for coming out here.
Good job, Enzo.
I really do appreciate it. And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, your company, they're interested in buying or selling, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Sure. You can always text me. That's probably the best way. 702-280-8300.
Well, I do appreciate having you guys on. If you guys are interested in purchasing a home, I always talk about this. You always got to start off with the financing. Visit lvhomeexperts.com. Click on the lending link that will link you up directly with Dan French. Fill out that loan application. Also, if you guys haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, go ahead and click and subscribe to this channel. Give us a thumbs up too as well. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are about this show. And also, don't forget to check us out on Instagram. We're about to hit almost 6,700 followers at this time. So check us out on Instagram. Other than that, until next time, peace.